Hey guys, what's going on? It's me, Jay, back again with another video. Here to talk a little bit about the news in the wrestling world. It's a crazy day for professional wrestling. There's some other news story that I want to talk about a little bit later on of a more serious nature, but this is the fun nature. This is the kickoff to WrestleMania 40. Um, what everybody is basically talking about. The Rock, the slap heard around the world. The Rock turning heel, joining the Bloodline, aligning with his cousin, Roman Reigns. What I love about this was how aware WWE seems to be about the mood of the fans. We talked a couple of days ago about how the fans reacted to what happened last Friday on SmackDown. Basically, the winner of the 2024 Royal Rumble spot, Cody Rhodes, giving up his Royal Rumble contendership to The Rock. And immediately, fans took to Twitter, the Cody crybabies, as The Rock put it, the We Want Cody movement, the Whoa movement, took to Twitter, typing in We Want Cody, basically trying to reenact what happened 10 years ago with when WWE tried to push Batista on us, but we, the fans, wanted Daniel Bryan, and that's what we got with the Yes movement, and that's what they tried to do again. But the way they're the way they're pivoting is really brilliant because unlike 2014, we're dealing with The Rock, one of the most popular professional wrestlers in the world. So obviously after Friday, The Rock gauged the mood of the crowd, the mood of the audience, and he decided, hey, this is what we're going to do. We're going to pivot and we're going to move it because initially I believe that when he signed on to the TKO board, he thought he'll come in to save WrestleMania because of the Vince McMahon allegations and to move the attention away from the Vince McMahon allegations towards something of a more lighthearted nature and to try to save WrestleMania, as he put it. He figured he'll insert himself into the main event. But the fans chewed it up and spit it out and regurgitated it, basically. They said, no, we don't want you, Rock. We don't want you, Dwayne. And last Monday night, you even heard chants of Rocky sucks, Rocky sucks. And as Michael Cole said, we haven't heard these chants since 1996, 97, when The Rock first turned heel. So The Rock and Brian Gewirtz, who he's brought in as the lead writer to write all his stuff, immediately recognized the mood of the temperature of the room and the temperature of the environment and immediately switched Rock heel. So how did this go down? I thought this was brilliantly done. It was in Las Vegas, Nevada, at the T-Mobile Arena, the famous arena at the UFC. Holds a lot of their big events and big pay-per-views. And Seth Rollins comes out in this green suit that I absolutely loved. A lot of Seth Rollins' fashion choices I don't appreciate. And as Roman Reigns himself said, Rollins looked like he gets a lot of his threads from Becky Lynch's closet. But he came out. He said the choice is to be made. There's only one person who can make that choice, and that is Cody Rhodes. Because as we know, 2 weeks ago, Seth Rollins basically made the appeal that the World Heavyweight Championship is more important than the WWE Universal Championship that Roman Reigns holds. That's the lineage, like I mentioned in my video, that's the lineage that Cody's family could trace back. You know, I mean, the lineage of that title. If you want to connect it to say uh, Dusty Rhodes and to all the great NWA champions that Dusty represented, the WWE World Heavyweight Championship kind of looks like the uh, NWA / WCW / Jim Crockett Promotions Championship. You know what I mean? So that's what Cody Rhodes, I mean, that's what Seth Rollins was basically making the appeal to Cody Rhodes. But then Cody Rhodes said, well, the title that eluded my father in the late 70s, which is true, is the WWE Championship, the lineage of that title, which he wrestled, he being Dusty Rhodes, wrestled in the 70s against Bruno. I mean, I'm against superstar Billy Graham that Bruno Sammartino had held previously. So that's the championship he wants. That's part of him finishing his story. So, but anyway, Seth Rollins comes out and he makes the appeal. He says only Cody Rhodes can make this choice. Then his former Shield partner, Roman Reigns, comes out, and Roman Reigns says, I like Roman Reigns' promo in this. He says, see, when you miss your opportunity, when you procrastinate and you hesitate, you'll eventually miss your opportunity, kids. Now the choice isn't Cody Rhodes's to make. The choice is mine to make, and I choose to face The Rock. And then he cuts ass on Seth Rollins about Seth's shoes and Seth's fashion choices. And then The Rock comes out. And The Rock basically is explaining to people how this is going to be the biggest WrestleMania, the best WrestleMania in history. And he says, to all those Cody crybabies, which is a term he coined on the Pat McAfee show earlier in the evening, you know, it doesn't matter what you want. He called back to his old phrase. And then he up on the screen, he puts a picture of the Bloodline. Basically, he mentions that his grandfather and Roman Reigns' grandfather, they said in Samoan, Inga, Inga, Inga. I guess that's how you pronounce that. You know, basically they made a blood pact, you know, and they became cousins, right? And he's going to face Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. And then all of a sudden, Cody Rhodes' music hits. And Cody Rhodes comes out looking like Pee Wee Herman in his gray suit, but his promo is pretty good. He says to The Rock, he says, wait a minute, if your grandfather was alive and your grandfather was alive, they'd be ashamed of the both of you. And then that's when The Rock turns and The Rock says, don't you ever fix your face, basically, I'm paraphrasing, to speak ill of my grandfather and my family. Don't you ever in your life think that you could talk shit about my grandfather and get away with it. And then he slaps the shit out of Cody Rhodes. And basically now it's Roman Reigns and The Rock versus Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins and Cody Rhodes have become unlikely allies against the Bloodline. And The Rock basically joins his cousin Roman Reigns in humiliating and berating not only the fans at T-Mobile Arena, but also Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins. And he slaps the shit out of Cody Rhodes. Now, granted, in a kayfabe scenario, Cody Rhodes was in the wrong for bringing up Roman's grandfather, but Roman did basically say that Cody Rhodes was irrelevant like his father and that he belongs on the loser bracket challenging Seth Rollins for the World Heavyweight Championship. So what do I think is going to happen now? Well, we do have Elimination Chamber coming up. We do have a pay-per-view before WrestleMania. So maybe, just maybe, and then it officially made the match for WrestleMania 40, Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns. But as Cody Rhodes challenged Roman Reigns. But I'm thinking maybe, just maybe, we could have a tag team title match at WrestleMania. Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins versus Roman Reigns and The Rock. If they don't do the match, if they don't do that same tag team title match the month before at Elimination Chamber. Now, there are rumors about what could actually transpire. Could it be a triple threat match? Maybe. Roman Reigns, Cody Rhodes, and The Rock? Could it be Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins for the World Heavyweight Championship, which is why I initially thought they were going after Friday? Or could it be, like I said, a tag team match? Maybe a tag team match on night one and a one-on-one match between Roman Reigns and Cody on night two. But as we know, with the splitting up of two nights of WrestleMania, usually night two is the more important main event. Like last year, you had a tag team match, the Usos versus Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens on night one, and you had Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes on night two. And the year before that, you had Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar on night two, and Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Kevin Owens on night one. And the year before that, you had Sasha Banks versus Bianca Belair on night one, and Roman Reigns, Edge, and Daniel Bryan on night two. And the year before that, you had the Boneyard match, AJ Styles and Undertaker, and The Fiend versus John Cena on night two. Roman Reigns versus AJ. And that was, of course, the first year that they ever did something like that. So usually since 2020, the past 4 years, night one has been the more important main event. And night two has been the more important main event, and night one has been this would be considered in years past the semi-main event. You know, the belters usually close the entire show. But what we have here, take Seth Rollins out of the equation. What we have here is the exact same phenomenon that not only happened 10 years ago, but also happened 20 years ago and even 30 years ago. We have, like I said, I predicted this would happen. Go back to my older videos when I said that at WrestleMania 10, we had a person that the champion that the fans wanted in Bret the Hitman Hart, and a champion that the fans did not want. A contender that the fans wanted in Bret the Hitman Hart, and a contender that the fans did not want in Lex Luger. In WrestleMania 20, we had a guy who would for several months, for almost a year, basically, have been on a tear in Triple H, going against a contender, Shawn Michaels, who fans did not want to see win the World Heavyweight Championship again, and a Royal Rumble winner in Chris Benoit, who fans did want to see win the World Heavyweight Championship. And likewise, at WrestleMania 30, 10 years before, we had a champion who the fans did not want in Randy Orton, and a contender who the fans did not want in Batista, and a contender who the fans did want in Daniel Bryan. So in each case, we had two contenders, one who the fans wanted and another who the fans did not want. And once again, we have the exact same scenario. Like I said, taking Seth Rollins out of the equation, we have a contender in The Rock who the fans do not want, and a contender in Cody Rhodes who the fans clearly do want. And when I say the fans, I'm talking about the loyal WWE supporters. The people that he calls the Cody crybabies, basically the losers, the geeks, the people that he's trying to make fun of. The people that he said, oh, their parents tell them go outside. They say Cody has to finish his story. Their wife tells them they want to have sex. They say Cody has to finish his story. They're the Cody crybabies, the We Want Cody movement. These are the loyal WWE supporters. These are not the people that tune in for just The Rock. Because what happened 12 years ago at WrestleMania 28, and even the year before that at WrestleMania 27, was that a lot of people from the 90s that hadn't really paid attention to professional wrestling since The Rock was on top in 1998, 1999, 2000, and 2001 or 2 came back to wrestling. They came back to see what The Rock was doing after all of those years, right? WrestleMania 28 in 2012, when The Rock actually returned to action against John Cena, is still the highest professional wrestling pay-per-view of all time. It surpassed the previous record that had existed for the Battle of the Billionaires with Donald Trump as in Bobby Lashley's corner against Umaga, right? It has the most buys. So back then in 2012, fans did want to see The Rock whoop John Cena's ass because you had a lot of the John Cena haters, a lot of the people that saw John Cena as the symbol of the decadence of WWE, the decline of WWE in the 10s, right? The 2010s, the late noughties going into the 2010s when John Cena had his ascendancy in 2005. From 2005 to 2015, basically, they saw John Cena as the symbol of WWE's decline in popularity. But now, 12 years later, they don't see The Rock in the same light. They don't see The Rock as the guy who is the heroic returnee. Now the WWE is in a different place. The WWE has been doing really well in the ratings in the last 4-5 years. They've been getting these $1 million deals. They've been getting these high ratings. They've been doing pretty well. And the fans don't need necessarily The Rock in the way that they did in 2011, 2012. They're kind of sick of The Rock. The Rock now is old hat. The Rock now is not Hulk Hogan returning to the WWE in 2002, where The Rock's been down this road before. He's been down this road actually twice in his history. Once when he had to pivot and turn heel the first time in 1997 when he joined the Nation of Domination, and another time in 2002 where in mid-match, The Rock was supposed to be the babyface and Hulk Hogan was supposed to be the heel. And the fans turned on The Rock and they went with Hulk Hogan because they were happy to see Hulk Hogan return back to the WWE after 9 years. He left the company in 1993 and he didn't come back until 2002. He was in WCW that whole time, right? But that where Hulk Hogan was in 2002, that's where The Rock was in 2012. But where The Rock is now is where Hulk Hogan was after he took those couple of months off between WrestleMania 8 and WrestleMania 9, where the fans don't want to see him, where the fans are like, get this guy out of my face. I'm tired of his ass already. Why? Because, The Rock, after 2012, he never really went away. He did the match again with Cena, and then he was at WrestleMania 32. He was at WrestleMania 31, where he did that segment with Ronda Rousey. He was at WrestleMania 30, where he did the opening with Hulk Hogan and Stone Cold. So he's done a lot of stuff with the WWE since 2011 when he first came back, right? He's not really been gone from WWE. And plus, he's had a lot of controversy over the past, since last year. a lot of controversy. He had the thing with Oprah, where him and Oprah were begging for money for the Maui disaster. He's had the Black Adam situation, where he's basically blamed for the failure of the DC cinematic universe, and the fans have turned against him with that. So now it comes off as he needs wrestling. Wrestling doesn't need him. You know, whereas in 2011, 2012, after the disastrous year that they had in 2010, and I talked about it in my Decade in Review video, where basically the Nexus storyline in the year of 2010 was so bad when Bret Hart came back, and the way they botched Bret Hart's return to wrestling was so terrible that they needed something. So they brought him in the following year as the guest host of WrestleMania. In the early 2010s, wrestling was so low, especially in the WWE, that it was 1994 level. 1994, 1995 level of wrestling. So they needed The Rock back then. Now The Rock needs them. They got The Rock back, and they put him on the TKO board for the PR look because of the Vince McMahon thing. But if it wasn't for the Vince thing, you guys really think that they will be calling The Rock back? They don't need him. Cody is good enough. Cody is what the people want. Cody is the guy that the people want to see in Roman Reigns' reign, basically. Not The Rock. You know, people don't want to see The Rock. People shitting on The Rock, basically. Everything that CM Punk was saying in the pipe bomb is coming true now, 13 years later, after he said it. You know, the fact that Dwayne is in the main event at WrestleMania and I'm not, or Cody is not, rather, makes me sick to my stomach. Remember those words from CM Punk in 2011? Well, they ring true now. The Rock looks like he's just abusing his corporate power. Ironically enough, his real life persona is he's the real corporate champion more now than he was in 1998 when he won the title for the first time against Mankind at Survivor Series. You know, people are shitting on The Rock. People are booing The Rock for the first time ever. You did hear a mix of chants within the T-Mobile Arena of "We want Cody, Cody sucks." You know, that kind of John Cena dueling chants thing that you always kind of freaking hear from the crowds. But for the most part, the diehard wrestling fans were behind Cody, and the casuals were behind The Rock, whereas the tables have flipped from 2012, where the casuals were probably behind John Cena because they were used to the new era, and the diehards from the Attitude Era were behind The Rock. They were happy to see him back. They wanted to see him win. They wanted to see him. He had to go over in Miami. You know what I mean? In 2012. Now, the tables turn. Everything's different now. People are saying maybe they'll end with a tag match, and then they'll rebuild for WrestleMania 40 with The Rock and Roman, which is possible because, like I said, The Rock's on the TKO board now. He's not going anywhere. So it's not like he's going to be out making a bunch of Hollywood movies. You know, he's basically in a position, like I said, that Hulk Hogan was in 1993 when his movie career failed. He went out to Hollywood to star in Mr. Nanny, and his career just bombed. Or where Roddy Piper was in 1989. Remember Roddy Piper? Don't forget, in 1987 at WrestleMania 3, the match with Adrian Adonis was supposed to be his retirement match. You know, that was supposed to be, he walked away from wrestling, right? And then he went to go film They Live, and 2 years later, he's back on the Brother Love show with Morton Downey Jr. hosing him down with a fire extinguisher and ripping off Brother Love's kilt at WrestleMania 5. So just like with The Rock, when the movie career, when people are no longer calling for necessarily movies, now he's going back to wrestling, where he knows, he thinks he knows anyway, that the wrestling fan will always be loyal to him, but not necessarily, not this time around. This time around, buddy, we've had enough. You know what I mean? We recognize you for who you truly are. You know what I mean? It's just using the wrestling fan, because you know how loyal the wrestling fan will be. Me personally, I don't feel that way. I feel like this story is probably some of the best writing that we've seen in a long while. But I know the hardcore wrestling fan wants to see Cody finish his story, and that's what they're pushing for, and that's what they're aiming for. But who knows? A tag team main event could be something different. We haven't seen a tag team main event at WrestleMania since, I mean, to close the show. Okay, last year, right, was a tag team main event night one. We haven't seen a tag team main event to close the show since WrestleMania 1. You know, and this is the 40th anniversary of WrestleMania. So we could see a tag team main event, or we could see a triple threat, or we could see Cody against Rock Night 1 and then Roman against Rock Night 2, and he could defeat both members of the Bloodline. What I would like to have seen us not necessarily uh, not necessarily Seth Rollins. I know Seth Rollins and Cody have that history, because when Cody came back at WrestleMania 38, that's who he faced, right? And then he was the one that put him out at Hell in Cell 2022, right? And he put him out. He put him out of commission for several months. So they have that history. But I would have liked to have seen, to come to his father's, defend his father's honor, Dustin and Dusty. Cody and Dustin. Just like 1994. That would have put the icing on the cake of how much 2024 is like 1994. Because if you guys recall, in WCW in 1994, remember the Earps of Blood, the Roads of Blood. All I need from you is a hug and a kiss to seal the deal, baby. And then after Dusty came and saved Dustin from a beatdown at the hands of main Colonel Rob Parker, Terry Funk, and Bunkhouse Buck. Remember, Terry Funk is nothing but an egg-sucking dog. A watermelon thief, egg-sucking dog. You know, and Dustin and Dusty teamed up to take on Colonel Parker's stud stable that eventually led to the War Games match with Dustin and Dusty and the Nasty Boys at Fall Brawl 94. But I don't know if Dustin is really in the position to, to wrestle. So they went with Seth Rollins. But it would have been cool to see Dustin and Dusty versus Cody. Excuse me. Keep messing up, guys. Sorry. Cody and Dustin versus Roman and The Rock. Family versus family. You know, it rings true of Cody's theme song. Wrestling has more than one royal family, and that's true. Two families going against each other. The Anoa'i family, which are the Samoan bloodline, obviously, and the Rhodes family would have been classic stuff. But since we can't get Dustin, I guess Seth Rollins will have to do. But we'll see where this heads, man. Somebody said a tag team match on night one, and if Cody and Seth win, then he goes on to night two to face Roman Reigns. That'd be interesting. That's something we never seen. I can't see The Rock wrestling twice. Then another person said that they think that it will be The Rock and Roman Reigns versus Cody and Seth in the main event at WrestleMania, and then Cody will finally defeat Roman at SummerSlam, and then uh, Roman and The Rock break up, and then it gets to be Roman and The Rock at WrestleMania 41. I'd be okay with that too. You know, we got to see where this heads. You know, I don't know, guys. We'll see. Peace. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the bell button. When my next video is coming out. Love you.